On Mother's Day 2020, a Colorado mum, Suzanne Morphew, vanished without a trace, casting a shadow of mystery over a seemingly peaceful community. It was a day that started like any other. Suzanne Morphew, a mother of two, decided to embark on a bike ride, a routine activity to celebrate Mother's Day in her own unique way. Little did anyone know, this would be the last time anyone would see her. Suzanne's husband, Barry Morphew, and their two daughters were thrust into a nightmare that seemed to have no end. The tight-knit community of Maysville, Colorado, where they resided, was shaken to its core. Imagine the tranquility of their lives being disrupted by such an unsettling event, a beloved mother and wife inexplicably gone. The search for Suzanne began immediately. Family, friends and neighbours rallied together, their unity transforming into a force of hope against the encroaching darkness of uncertainty. They combed through every inch of the picturesque Colorado landscape, their eyes scouring the terrain for any signs of Suzanne. Even as the odds stacked up against them, their determination never waned. Meanwhile, the local law enforcement agencies, led by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, initiated an extensive investigation. They delved into Suzanne's life, her relationships, her habits, all in the hope of finding some clue that could lead them to her. Barry Morphew, Suzanne's husband, became a figure of interest. The man who was once part of the community's fabric was now under the microscope, his every action scrutinized. Yet as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Suzanne remained missing. Her smiling face, captured in family photos, served as a stark reminder of the mystery that hung over Maysville. The community's hope began to wane, replaced by a chilling silence that echoed the unanswered question, where is Suzanne Morphew? As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Suzanne remained missing, and the mystery deepened. In a case filled with unexpected twists, Barry Morphew, Suzanne's husband, found himself in the crosshairs of suspicion. The plot thickened with a collection of strange elements that seemed more fitting for a crime novel than a real-life investigation. Among these were the tranquilizer gun and the spy pen, tools that added layers of intrigue to the unfolding narrative. The tranquilizer gun, typically used for sedating wildlife, was found in Barry's possession. The drugs identified in Suzanne's autopsy were the very same sedatives that Barry had previously told investigators he used to tranquilize deer in his yard. This coincidence pointed a damning finger towards Barry, but it was far from conclusive evidence. Adding to the complexity was the discovery of a spy pen that had recorded intimate conversations between Suzanne and another man, Jeff. This revelation hinted at potential marital issues and fueled further suspicions of Barry's involvement in Suzanne's disappearance. However, Jeff, who had a prior relationship with Suzanne, was eventually cleared of any involvement in her disappearance. In the midst of these bizarre twists, Barry Morphew found himself under the gavel of the law. Accused of murder and tampering with physical evidence, he was thrust into the limelight as the main suspect in his wife's disappearance. However, in a surprising move, the charges against Barry were dropped. The reasons cited were a lack of physical evidence connecting Barry to the alleged crime and a need for further investigation. This decision came just days before his trial for first-degree murder was set to commence, throwing the case into further disarray. Despite the mounting suspicion, the physical evidence against Barry remained elusive, and the case took another unexpected turn. In September 2023, 3 years after Suzanne's disappearance, a macabre discovery brought the case back into the spotlight. These remains, later identified as Suzanne's, were found in Saguache County, Colorado, during an unrelated investigation. This discovery, about 45 miles south of Suzanne's home in Maysville, was a chilling reminder of the long unsolved mystery and sent shockwaves through the community. The reactions were a mix of sorrow, relief, and renewed determination. For the family, it was the heartbreaking confirmation of their worst fears. The Morphews had been tormented by Suzanne's absence, the pain of losing a wife and mother compounded by the ongoing suspicion against Barry. This discovery, while grim, offered a semblance of closure, a chance to begin the long process of healing. For the community, it was a poignant reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded in their midst. The news reignited the collective grief of the tight-knit community, who had rallied around the Morphews in the wake of Suzanne's disappearance. Yet it also brought a renewed sense of hope that justice might finally be served. Meanwhile, for the authorities, the discovery of Suzanne's remains represented a significant breakthrough. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation, who had tirelessly pursued leads and clues for 3 years, now had a critical piece of evidence in their hands. Yet, it was a double-edged sword. While the remains provided answers to some questions, they also raised new ones, keeping the investigators on their toes. Despite the discovery, no arrests were made in connection with Suzanne's death, and the case remained shrouded in mystery. The discovery of Suzanne's remains was a grim revelation, yet it also opened up new avenues for the investigation. It was a stark reminder of the enduring enigma that was Suzanne's disappearance and death, and a call to action for those seeking justice for her. As the story unfolded, it was clear that the discovery was merely the beginning of another chapter in this haunting tale. In April 2024, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation released the much-anticipated autopsy results of Suzanne Morphew. These findings indicated that Suzanne's life was tragically cut short by homicide, a deadly act carried out in the setting of drug intoxication. The sedatives identified in Suzanne's system, butorphanol, azaparone and medetomidine, were the same substances Barry Morphew admitted to using when tranquilizing deer in his yard. This revelation sparked a wave of reactions from those closely connected to the investigation. Iris Aitan, Barry Morphew's attorney, released a statement on behalf of the Morphew family. The family was in agony, she said, not only from the loss of Suzanne, but also from the false accusations and prosecution of Barry. The family had been praying for justice for Suzanne, but the autopsy results only seemed to bring more questions than answers. The legal representatives were not the only ones reacting to this new development. The community, too, was left in a state of shock and confusion. A beloved mother was gone, and the details surrounding her death were as murky as ever. The autopsy results did not give any clear indication of who was responsible for Suzanne's death, leaving the community and the family with a lack of closure and justice. The Chaffee County medical examiner determined Suzanne's homicide occurred by undetermined means, further deepening the mystery. No clear weapon or method was identified, leaving the investigators with a daunting task of piecing together the puzzle. Barry Morphew, the man who was initially accused and later cleared of charges, maintains his innocence. His lawyer, Aitan, stated that Suzanne's autopsy results confirm her abduction while she was preparing for or was on her morning bike ride. She was then allegedly drugged and buried 50 miles south of their home. Aitan also emphasized that Suzanne's remains were not found in the vicinity of her home or the county she lived in. Investigators found no traces of blood near the Morphew home in Maysville or in their family vehicles. However, a partial DNA profile was discovered, adding yet another twist to this unfolding mystery. The autopsy results added another layer of complexity to the already convoluted case. As the investigation continued, a legal battle was brewing, with Barry Morphew at its center. Morphew, initially accused of killing his wife, found himself entangled in a web of disputes with prosecutors. These disputes were not just about his innocence or guilt, but they delved into the heart of the legal process itself. Barry Morphew's defense team, led by the tenacious Iris Aitan, locked horns with the prosecution, challenging not only the charges but also the methods employed in the investigation. The defense team was relentless, repeatedly requesting dismissal of the charges due to a lack of physical evidence connecting Barry to the alleged crime. The legal battle took a dramatic turn when Barry's defense team filed a $15 million lawsuit against the prosecutors and investigators. They accused the authorities of violating Barry's constitutional rights, a serious charge that added a new layer of complexity to the already intricate case. The prosecution, however, was not without its share of challenges. Just days before Barry was to stand trial, the charges against him were dropped. The reason? The need for further investigation and a lack of physical evidence. The prosecution's decision to drop the charges was not taken lightly. It was a tactical move, a bid for more time to gather evidence and build a stronger case. But the legal battle didn't end there. The judge accused the prosecution of procedural violations, adding another twist to the case. The judge's accusations raised questions about the integrity of the legal process, casting a shadow over the proceedings. Despite the legal wrangling, the quest for justice remained at the forefront. The battles in the courtroom, the dropped charges, the procedural violations, and the hefty lawsuit all served to further complicate the path to justice. With no other arrests made, the legal battle raged on, casting a long and uncertain shadow over the search for answers in the tragic disappearance and murder of Suzanne Morphew. With no other arrests made, the legal battle served to further complicate the quest for justice. 4 years since Suzanne's disappearance, the case remains a mystery, a puzzle with missing pieces. 4 years filled with investigations, accusations, and profound grief. Yet the case of Suzanne Morphew is still shrouded in uncertainty, a jigsaw puzzle with pieces yet to be found. The investigation is ongoing, with Colorado authorities tirelessly working towards finding the truth. However, new evidence or suspects have yet to emerge, leaving the case at a standstill. The Chaffee County medical examiner determined Suzanne's homicide occurred by undetermined means in the setting of specific sedatives. Yet this information has not led to any significant breakthroughs in identifying the perpetrator. Barry Morphew, Suzanne's husband, remains a man under scrutiny. Despite the dismissal of murder charges against him, Barry's innocence is still questioned by some. He continues to maintain his innocence, stating that Suzanne was abducted during her morning bike ride, drugged, and tragically ended up 50 miles south of their home. His defense team argues that Suzanne's remains were not found anywhere near their home or family vehicles, and the absence of blood traces supports his innocence. Yet, the Morphew family's plight is far from over. The grief of losing Suzanne, the mother of their 2 daughters, is compounded by the public's scrutiny and the legal battles they've been forced into. They continue to agonize over Suzanne's disappearance, yearning for answers, for closure, and for justice. The family's attorney, Iris Aitan, encapsulated their turmoil in a poignant statement, highlighting their loss, their fight against false accusations, and their quest for justice. As for the future of the case, it's a road filled with uncertainty. The district attorney for Saguache County, Ann Kelly, will have to determine whether any more charges can be brought forward in the case, given Suzanne's remains were found in her jurisdiction. This decision could potentially reignite the legal battle and bring new developments to the fore. As the search for answers continues, one thing remains clear. The mystery of Suzanne Morphew's disappearance has left more questions than answers. The saga of Suzanne Morphew's disappearance, filled with twists and turns, continues to unfold, with the hope of light shining at the end of this long, dark tunnel. In the wake of Suzanne Morphew's tragic end, a myriad of unanswered questions loom over the case. As we delve deeper into this enigma, we are left grappling with the puzzle pieces that just don't seem to fit. One of the most pressing queries revolves around the alleged drugging of Suzanne. The autopsy results indicated that she died in the setting of drug intoxication. The drugs found in her system were the same sedatives Barry had previously admitted to using to tranquilize deer in his yard. But why would Suzanne have these drugs in her system? Was it a tragic accident, a sinister plot, or something else entirely? This question hangs in the air, echoing in the silence left in the wake of Suzanne's untimely demise. Then, there's the curious case of the missing blood. Despite extensive searches of the Morphew home and family vehicles, investigators found no traces of blood. This absence of evidence is puzzling, to say the least. If Suzanne met a violent end, as the term homicide suggests, wouldn't there be some physical evidence left behind? The lack of such evidence poses yet another question that remains frustratingly unanswered. Adding to this convoluted mystery is the partial DNA profile uncovered during the investigation. Whose DNA is it? Does it hold the key to identifying Suzanne's killer? Or is it merely another red herring in a case already riddled with misdirection and uncertainty? The community, too, is left with a gnawing need for closure and justice. Suzanne's loved ones, her friends, her neighbours, all deserve to know what happened to this beloved mother of two. They need to see the person responsible for her disappearance and murder brought to justice. Yet, 4 years on, they are left with more questions than answers, their quest for closure thwarted at every turn. As we await further developments, the story of Suzanne Morphew serves as a chilling reminder of the mysteries that can lie beneath the surface of a seemingly peaceful community. This is not just a story of a missing mother or a botched investigation. It's a story of a community left in limbo, a family torn apart, and a justice system struggling to find the truth. It's a story that reminds us of the importance of not taking things at face value, of digging deeper, and of never giving up on the pursuit of justice.